I'm Lee Zeldin. After watching Kathy Hochul's State of the State address, it's clear that our state under Hochul is leaping off a cliff. During last year's campaign for governor, we offered a new vision for the Empire State, one that would restore law and order, reverse decades of economic decline, and finally break the corrupt culture that has infected Albany for too long. You didn't hear Hochul talking about fighting corruption, did you? Millions of New Yorkers voted for our agenda. I received more votes than any Republican statewide in 52 years because of a desperation to save our state. Yet amazingly today, it is clear Kathy Hochul has confused the results of what was the closest gubernatorial election in a generation for a mandate to continue the same failed policies that caused our state's spiraling decline. Even worse is Hochul's vindictive declaration of war on New York's suburbs, masked as a housing plan. It's a proposal to replace local control with Hochul control. She doesn't understand that New Yorkers don't want to be ruled by an emperor governor. The people want to be in charge of the government, not the other way around. It wasn't just Republicans who voted for change. It was Democrats and independents as well, Asians, Hispanics, and many others hitting their breaking point in our state. These are voters desperate for a chance to succeed, struggling to make ends meet, concerned about crime and their kids' education. New Yorkers are rightfully angry about politicians in Albany prioritizing criminals over law-abiding citizens. These are the New Yorkers who are marginalized and suffering in silence, cowed by the woke mob rule that has reduced the concept of freedom to a punchline. They've been canceled by one-party rule, and Democrat governors who told them time and time again to leave the state. Get out, they say, if you don't agree with their vision of New York. These Democrats pretend to worship the idea of diversity, but they don't practice it. They preach to the sanctity of the ballot, yet they illegally conspired to deprive millions of voters of fair voting districts. They claim to care for those in need, yet they eagerly release career criminals to prey disproportionately on the weak and the vulnerable amongst us. They talk about promoting a strong middle class while seeking to make more of them dependent on government handouts. This has all led to a historic outmigration from our state that is destroying communities, neighborhoods, and families. Those who can leave have left or are packing as we speak, and nothing that they heard today from Kathy Hochul is going to change their mind. Our world is shrinking every day. In the past nearly 3 years of COVID has reinforced the viability and the desirability of remote work, continuing to chase out millionaires and lower income earners to head for the exits. New Yorkers look to states down south and believe that their money will go further, they will feel safer, and they will live life freer. This permanent flight of individuals, families, and businesses are leaving the rest of us behind to shoulder the costs of a corrupt, crony welfare state. New York's tax policy is unsustainable. And coupled with the state's stifling regulatory climate and other poor economic factors, there's a rising affordability crisis. The answer surely shouldn't be to take more of your hard-earned money to give it to other people. The well is drying up for many who are deciding enough is enough. And when you boil it all down, that is the essence of the Hochul Democrat vision for New York. The same is true of the business community. Albany's pitch for a business to move to New York isn't based on a great business climate, low taxes, a friendly regulatory environment, and pro-business state agencies. No. Instead, we've reached a point that Albany's pitch is to offer one-off bribes to try to make up for having one of the worst business climates in the history of our country. The tax burden is crushing, and the regulatory environment is oppressive. And so the bribes get bigger every year on every deal. This isn't rhetoric. New Yorkers are the highest taxed in America, and our business climate is consistently ranked as one of the worst in America. Kathy Hochul's budget and financing plan for New York, which breathtakingly features her special interest in pay-to-play corruption is a model that will eventually collapse. New Yorkers are going to be left holding the bag. Hochul's State of the State address was another small swing and a big miss. Here are 10 of the dozens of items I would have been sure to feature if delivering this speech today for Hochul. 1, term limits. No statewide elected official should serve longer than 2 terms of 4 years each. 2, declare a crime state of emergency and suspend cashless bail, raise the age, less is more, the HALT Act, and recent discovery law changes. Lift the cap on charter schools. Give judges discretion to weigh dangerousness when setting bail. Reverse the state's ban on the safe extraction of natural gas. Approve new pipeline applications. Enact the largest tax cut in the history of the state. Rehire all public sector employees who were fired for their personal decision against receiving the COVID vaccine. Fire weak district attorneys who refused to enforce the law, including Alvin Bragg. Refuse to meet with any campaign contributors soliciting business from the state. In the meantime, New Yorkers will continue to suffer with incompetence and fraud with no accountability. Hundreds of millions in taxpayer dollars doled out in pay-to-play corruption scandals like Hochul's COVID testing debacle that grew more brazen every day. Billions just vanished in fraud. And Hochul's incompetence doesn't just waste taxpayer money, it costs lives. The Buffalo area saw 44 people recently die in a storm that was accurately forecasted a week ahead. This is a failure of leadership and a failure of management. And once again, those who suffered the most are those who are the most vulnerable. The truth is, in Albany, our state is run by a cabal of back-scratching politicians whose only endgame is the maintenance of the status quo. We won't see an accounting of what went wrong in Buffalo. Like we will never see anyone held accountable for the deadly nursing home policy that killed thousands of our parents and grandparents. Nothing Kathy Hochul said today is meant to change that. Despite the dire reality of life in New York under Kathy Hochul, I have faith in the rest of us as New Yorkers, in the strength of New Yorkers. In recent days, we have seen that strength of faith and family on display. We've seen how faith can bring us together, how family give us strength, how faith amplified by the power of social media can be a tool for good, how faith can transform the most dire circumstances into a bastion of hope. The remarkable recovery of Damar Hamlin, his strength, his belief, his family is a testament to the best of us. The very best of New Yorkers is inside of us, each and every one of us. Faith and family are not antiquated concepts. They should not be derided, demeaned, or dismissed. A shared faith for the future, whatever your faith is a source of strength, a source of hope. The hope that keeps us striving for a better New York. Let's go save our state.